Hey YouTube, how's it hanging? Izzy here bringing you a little bit of Call of Duty news. Well, actually, it's not really news, but more of a theory or something along those lines. So, get those tinfoil hats ready. This time, we're looking into the future. The future beyond this next unreleased Call of Duty game. That's right, let's talk about Call of Duty 2018. For those who are unfamiliar with the Call of Duty release cycle, it is released every year in the fall, but each game has undergone 3 years of development. Well, how does it do that? Well, Call of Duty has 3 different studios working on the game, and those 3 studios take turns releasing what they've developed. And the 3 studios that bring us the games are Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer Games, and Sledgehammer Games being the most recent one, the one releasing World War II. This past year, Infinity Ward released Infinite Warfare, and I have a fun fact for you if you didn't know. Infinite Warfare's reveal trailer last year had some of the most dislikes for a gaming video YouTube has ever seen. At the time of making this video, it has a total of 3 million dislikes. Needless to say, Call of Duty did not have a good year this year, but here's to hopefully a better year. With World War II coming later this fall, the community got what they asked for. It has been almost 10 years since a Call of Duty that was set in the Second World War was released. The last game, released in 2008, was World at War. As a fan of the franchise, I have to say I was very excited to hear the news of Call of Duty's return to World War II, and I was even more excited when I got the chance to play the beta, which was honestly pretty good. I already expressed my main concern in my previous video, which had to do with weapon variants and my fear that they would be more than just cosmetic. I'm still not sure about that, but nevertheless, I'm still pretty excited about how the game plays, which is all I can really ask for at this point. So, with all this excitement surrounding the next Call of Duty, you may ask, Izzy, why are you even talking about next year? Because, if you didn't know, Treyarch, which is the developer for the next Call of Duty after World War II, posted something like a wanted ad asking for, I believe, a systems designer. And they were looking for a systems designer who had, and I quote, deep knowledge base of firearms and modern military technology. Modern military technology, huh? Now, when I think of modern, jetpacks certainly are not on my mind. So this means we may have another year without the advanced movement system that allows you to basically fly at will. And that also means we may go another year without a universally hated title. Activision, you're on a roll. Keep it up. But with Modern Warfare Remastered released, and the overplayed modern titles we have at our disposal in the last generation of consoles, it raises some questions. The modern Call of Duty games have always pitted our protagonists up against who else but the Russians. There are only so many times you can release a game with the same enemy. So with that said, who will fill the void left by the Russians as Call of Duty's antagonist? Now, this is all assuming Call of Duty actually wants to stay fresh and new, which I would hope so. So let's assume, and we'll be doing a lot of that today, that they do want to stay interesting. Where do you begin to find a new, menacing, and frightening enemy? Well, I took to Reddit and found a post by user Rainbow24601 that ran through possible modern scenarios for the games, and yes, I'll have a link for that in the description. And all those were interesting, but it's easy to just dismiss them and move on. But where's the fun in that? So I went through all the settings and tried to piece together relevant information from previous Call of Duty games, and there were some that were set in the Middle East, having to do with the Gulf War period, and the Middle Eastern setting has been done more than once, so I disqualified that. Now remember, I'm assuming Treyarch wants to stay fresh and keep the game interesting. I also saw Bosnia thrown around in the post as well, but again, that would be another Eastern European setting with a gray color scheme that would probably put people to sleep. Kinda like your videos, Izzy? Why do you hurt me? Then I finally came upon one of the more unique settings or story for a Call of Duty game. Black Hawk Down in Mogadishu, Somalia. Now, here's where my tinfoil hat just got a little tighter, but trust me, it will make some sense toward the end. In a video uploaded on YouTube by UHD Gaming, you are shown the pre-alpha build of Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. And I'll have that video in the description as well. And basically this video takes you through all the maps and their old names, and are even shown maps that never made it to the full game of Call of Duty 4. Pretty cool stuff if you're a fan. But my point of interest was in the fan favorite map, Crash. Now, normally, in the released version, the helicopter that's down in the middle of the map is actually a C9. So that's the one that you see, you're running around and Crash. That's the one that you see right in the middle of the map. But in this pre-alpha build, the helicopter that they went with was actually a UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter. Now again, I'm working with assumptions heavily, but if Treyarch's new game were to go this route, we have a pretty far-fetched Easter egg, if you want to call it that. If nothing else, this may illustrate Call of Duty's interest in exploring this conflict so it does make sense. I mean, a little. Luckily, for my sanity, this isn't the only evidence I have to support my theory. For those of you who remember, Call of Duty has been to Somalia only once, and that was back in Modern Warfare 3, over 5 years ago. Modern Warfare 3 was the most sold Call of Duty game in the franchise's history, and I personally remember how hyped I was for its release as well. I was just coming down from the Modern Warfare 2 high, and it didn't really disappoint. It played directly into the rest of the Modern Warfare series perfectly and capped off the epic trilogy, leaving us sad yet mildly satisfied. It would be the last installment in the Modern Warfare series, creating a void that has yet to be filled. In Modern Warfare 3, our visit to Somalia was brief, yet pretty darn memorable. In the story, we went in search of information on a man who was responsible for devastating chemical attacks in Europe and ended up having to battle our way through a brutal sandstorm.
That storm is massive. The last thing we need is say it's too hard, they can't land. Yuri, get on the remote turret and fill them up. Use the rope.
It was definitely one of the more memorable and interesting settings in the entire game, in my opinion. Now, with Modern Warfare 3's success, it's quite a stretch to attribute that success to it being set in Somalia for a few missions. But if this game is set in Somalia, it may, if nothing else, jog our fond memories of Modern Warfare 3 and all its hype. What do you guys think? Would Somalia be a more interesting setting and story than another run-of-the-mill Russian antagonist? Am I crazy or plausible? Let me know what you guys think. Go ahead and leave a comment, like the video, or if you're feeling it, subscribe. Alright YouTube, thanks so much for watching. Take it easy, and I'll see you next time.